Hello YouTube. I thought I would show you a refurb video on a new acquisition that I've made. It is a surface grinder, Chevalier surface grinder, probably early to late 70s. Although the motor has a 1980 stamp on it, it might have been that the motor has been replaced at a later stage. So it's a 6 inch by 12 inch Chevalier with a 1 horsepower three phase motor on it. I have no idea whether I have purchased myself a cat in a bag, as they would say in my country, but we'll have to see once I open it up. Full disclosure, I have actually had to take it apart to get it into where it is right now, and I will take it apart and show you the components as I refurb them. It looks quite rusted. It was standing outside in a top. Thankfully the oil ways and the oiler, the one-shot oiler, worked quite well, and most of the ways had been oiled throughout. A significant amount of oil was in the base of this unit, and so the ways, although they are certainly worn after 45 odd years, they look well okay for hobbyist. I have been looking for a surface grounder for quite some time, and grabbed this one as it became available. They are quite scarce in this country. It's, from my research, it looks very much like a Taiwanese copy of a Boyer and Schultz 612, or maybe the deluxe, I don't know. The next challenge will be to actually get hubs for it and components for it. I get very little support from the local supplier of Chevalier, and eventually I contacted Taiwan and asked them for support. They sent me some pictures, and they have some of the components that is sort of aftermarket stuff. The wheel hubs, I'm really worried that I might not find wheel hubs for this unit. I'll take you closer and show you some of the closer components and how bad they look, and hopefully whether I can clean it up. As I said, I did take it apart to get it into the workshop. The base is still outside, and I'll show you the base at a later stage. It really does look quite rusted, but I would assume that the parts that are rusted was due to the coolant or whatever they've used on it. Most of the paintwork looks quite good still. The wheel that they have on here, the grinding wheel that they have on here, is quite small. I can only guess what has happened. They could not get the hub off anymore, and so they just used the wheel that I had available to do their work. Eventually they actually lifted up the chuck with 100 by 100 millimeter tubing to get the chuck higher up so that they can still get some purchase on the stone. I made a hub puller from drawings that I received out of Taiwan. It's quite an awkward thread arrangement. It's, I think, 1 inch 16 turns per inch. We're in South Africa, so we're metric. So I did 1 point cutting on the lathe, 1 inch 16 thread hub puller. I also made just that to the nut is a 17mm nut, so I bought a socket and I took it off also slightly just to be able to reach into the hub, just be able to reach into the hub and undo the left hand nut. I also had to make myself a spanner to undo the wheel nut. So that was really the part that I enjoyed the most, is making the components to actually take it apart. As I said, the chuck looks in a really bad state, but that will, I guess, be one video where I show you the refurb of that. I actually did get a coolant pump arrangement with this, so you've got a container at the bottom with a little 3-phase pump that then supplies water through this. I don't know if I'm going to be using coolant, but we will see. So let's take it apart some more, and I'll show you the components as I refer them. As you see, I have already taken the hub off because I was really worried that I was not going to get it off. I can see some hammer marks on it, so it probably has been used. The taper looks to me like a typical 1 inch with 3 inch per foot taper, if I'm right. If it is, then perhaps a slightly bigger hub would still fit, and that you can get off aftermarket. They have balancing weights in the back of this hub. This hub is only 64mm outside diameter, and I haven't seen hubs that there is this small. The next one up is about 10mm or just under half an inch bigger than this, but it might still fit in that arrangement, the other hubs that you can get aftermarket. Okay, let's take it apart and let's see how it goes. Oh, did I mention that it's a 3-phase 1 horsepower motor, 380 volts. I have a normal 220 volts supply at my property, so I'll have to make find a solution, either a VFD or I don't know why I'm gravitating towards a rotary phase converter. I think it's an overkill, but perhaps you can get a rotary phase converter second hand cheaper than a VFD, and I don't know how much power I will lose if I only get 220 volts 3-phase through the VFD, as this is a 380 volt 2-pole 3-phase motor. The hand wheels are marked in a millimeter, and I believe they are 2.8, 2.4. It's at a 4.4. It's 0.001 millimeter per division, and it looks like it's a 3mm per rotation per revolution arrangement. So that's 1mm, 2mm. Yeah, looks like it's about 3mm per rotation on the wheel. Traversing is on a rack and pinion. I've seen some of the newer Chevaliers with a toothed belt, and but this is still a rack and pinion. I have no idea why they would have moved from rack and pinion to tooth belt driven. I am not knowledgeable enough to know whether a belt driven is now was a later invention, or whether rack and pinion was just too expensive. But in the case of this one, it's still still on rack and pinion. I think the Boyer and Schultz is also still rack and pinion, at least the Boyer and Schultz that is of similar age than this one. Oh yes, did I mention the only thing that I found really wanting, apart from the rust, and I'll show you the ways at a later stage, is the spider coupling that looked in a really bad shape. The coupling, that plastic or neoprene or poly plastic insert was just non-existent, and it seems like it has been running without that plastic insert for many a mile. So I guess this will have to be replaced. And it also seems like this unit is schizophrenic when it comes to whether it wants to be metric or imperial. As I said, it seems like the wheel hub is metric, is imperial, whereas obviously the graduation on the wheels are in millimeters. So I guess the screws are in millimeter, and some of the stuff is still in imperial. I think it was quite a clever marketing ploy to label it a Chevalier, even if it came from Taiwan. People as ignorant as me would think that they are buying something from Europe, but I guess in the same vein, Boyer and Schultz, people buying Boyer and Schultz thinks that they're buying something out of Germany, and it's an American product. Not one is better than the other, but there might be a sentiment towards German precision and a label like Boyer and Schultz. So let me remove the slide or the table, and I'll show you the ways, and you can give me your opinion if whether this is money well spent or not. Did I mention how much I paid for it? I paid with the effort of picking it up about 500 kilometers away from here. Yeah, so it's a return 500 kilometer trip plus accommodation, and the purchase effort was probably around $500 US. For you to get a reference, I again don't know if this was money well spent. It's half of what the guy actually wanted for it, but I also think that asking $1,000 for this thing was a bit of a stretch, or even more than $1,000 was a bit of a stretch. The spindle feels really smooth. It sounds really smooth. I tried to measure a run out as best I can when I picked it up, and I didn't see much. Not that I couldn't get the hub off, so I couldn't really measure the run out of the on the spindle itself. But it seemed to be pretty good. I guess if that's really the big cost of refurbing this unit, is replacing those bearings. It's probably $200, $300 exercise to replace, even more, to replace the linear contact bearings. So it feels relatively good, certainly for a hobbyist or an ignorant or an inexperienced hobbyist like me. It should suffice, but let's see. I don't know what to make of the magnetic chuck. When I inquired about the unit, the previous owner eloquently moved the chuck to the other side. He had a plate on it, and he moved the chuck to the to this side, and he pulled it off, and he says it's still working fine. So that's the amount of magnetic hold I have on this chuck. I don't know if it's just surface rust that's going to improve this. Perhaps if you have ideas, I have purchased some Evapo Rust, and the idea was to spray it on and cover it with cellophane or plastic and leave it for a while and see if that improves matters. And as I said, this was elevated on a piece of 100 by 100 millimeter tubing in order to get closer to the wheel that has been ground to pretty much a non-existent state. So I'll tackle this last. I'll try and de-rust it, and if needs be, I'll open it up, do some research, open it up, and see if I can actually make it function better. It's Chinese made, so I would prefer to replace this one. Apologies for going handheld, but that's the state of the V-ways. It was scraped at some stage, but I guess a lot of wear has happened on those V-ways. Can't feel a ridge there. There's a bit of a gorge there, and then the flat side of the wave is probably even in a worse condition. Yeah, a lot of gouging that has happened on that axis. Tell me what your opinion is. What should I do? Should I just leave it as is? How much accuracy would I have lost because of the state of the ways? Let's take you closer and look at the upper side of the ways. Again, sorry for the handheld. That's the beginning of the V-way, and as you go along, I guess, to the center of the way things looks worse. Again, a lot of gouging, I guess, not sufficient oil. How deep are those scrape marks? That is a half moon scraping, because I still see some of that scraping marks prevalent in some of the deep gouges of that, so I would not have an idea how much has been removed, but again, give me your opinion as to whether I should do anything about it or whether it will be good enough for a hobbyist surface grinder. And on the flat side, again gouging. You can see the edge has just been taken off. It's just below the surface, but again, a lot of gouging. I have no experience in this, so I would not know whether this is acceptable, unacceptable, within tolerance, and what do you think I would expect to get in flatness or in surface finish with ways that look like this? Let me know. Can it be that there are different sizes? So I'm taking off the rack. It doesn't seem to be too heavily worn, which I hope is a good sign. Always one screw that doesn't cooperate. Make it 2 screws. I'll come back. Try and get rid of 45 years worth of grime. See if this works. There you go. Much better. Last one. Same treatment. Peaky proddy machine. Ghost urine, ghost pee, and let's see if it works. There you go. Much better. As I opened up this unit, I found that there was not a single screw missing. I'm not talking about screws that these back plates have been replaced before and things like that, but the screws and nuts and bolts that matters, not a single one has been is missing, or looks like they are non-original. So hopefully that's a good sign that this unit has never been taken apart, if perhaps it should have been taken apart more regularly and serviced, but for now I will take it that I at least have all the original nuts and bolts and screws, and again, I don't know if they are metric or imperial. They just by the look of it seems to me as if they are imperial thread and not metric thread, although I'm using a metric set of Allen keys and that fits, but that might just be pure chance that works. Let's take this off. Yeah, as I said, the pinion seems to look quite good, or the rack pinion. The rack seems to be in good nick, so it needs a bit of cleanup, and at least I am sure that'll last my lifetime at least. And it's, as I said, the wear and tear seems to be quite decent on the unit, on that part of the rack. So hope that bodes well. Continue with dismantling.
Well, folks, that's it for this episode. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you found it useful, and please comment so that I can improve how I do these videos. As I said, it's my first one. English is not my first language, and the first thing I'll have to do is start removing all the ums in my next video. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.